her wellness retreat at the vineyard. I rented the bungalow next door with his fiancée. I found the lie in our entryway, tucked under the basket where we keep keys and grocery receipts that never get claimed. Wellness Offsite Stone Lantern Vineyard, the pamphlet said in small, tasteful font, all sage leaves and lavender borders. Lee had circled a session called Trust as a daily practice, with a heart, the kind of detail you add when you want someone to believe you. She told me her creative team was unplugging for 2 nights. No phones in group time. No partners, no questions. She pressed a kiss to my mouth like punctuation. "Don't work too late, Marco," she said. "Please try to just be." I build stairs for a living, oak that carries the weight of people who don't think about the physics under their feet. Be is hard for me. I like bolts and treads. I like the way an angle answers a question exactly. At 8, she texted a photo. A long table with linen, plates set for 12, probably a farm-to-table speech hovering in the air. Evan, her new boss, stood at one end with a glass raised. His smile said he was everyone's friend first and a strategist second. My gut did a silent, disloyal thing. At 9, the shop was quiet enough to hear the compressor breathe. I swept sawdust into the bin and told myself I was being old-fashioned. Lee was smart. She was good. If she liked a compliment, that didn't make her a cliché. At 10, a number I didn't know sent a message that blew a hole in all that neatness. "Do you know where she is? Stone Lantern. I think she's with my fiancé." I stared until the letters lost shape. Another message came before I answered. "This is Nina. I'm sorry to blindside you. I found your contact in Lee's favorites, Marco's shop. Evan told me no phones tonight, but he forgot I know the passcode to the old one he left at my place. The email confirmation says Bungalow 4. Her name's on it." I called. Nina answered on the first half ring. She had the steadiness of someone who'd already cried and decided not to do it again until she'd done something practical. "I'm sorry," she said. "I hate this. I keep thinking there's a version where I'm wrong." "What does he think this is?" I asked. "Collaboration," she said dryly. "He says she understands his language. It made me proud at first. I wanted him with curious people. Now I'm nauseous at how reasonable I tried to be." I could hear a TV somewhere on her end, a sitcom laugh track that felt like it came from another planet. I reached for my boots. "If I drive now, I can be there in an hour." "I'll meet you," she said. "I don't want to be alone, and I don't want to be the person who stands outside in the dark by herself and pretends she isn't shaking." Stone Lantern sat in a shallow bowl of hills 2 turns off the highway. The tasting room glowed like a promise, all reclaimed wood and soft pendants. The bungalows hid behind a row of olives and lavender, private enough to make anything feel like a secret you earned. Nina stood by the fountain in a sweater and running shoes, hair pulled up like she'd given up halfway. She waved as if she'd been expecting me all her life. Up close she had the kind of beauty that comes from concentrating, fine bones, clear eyes, a mouth that held on to its decisions. "You're Marco," she said. "And you're Nina." "God, this is stupidly intimate," she said and laughed. The sound wasn't brittle, it had weight. "I booked Bungalow 3. I didn't know if knocking on 4 would be brave or theatrical. 3 seemed like information." We walked the gravel path together, suitcase wheels clicking out a rhythm that sounded like the back end of an apology. At our door she paused, and I caught my reflection in the window. A man with sawdust still in the creases of his hands, a man who hadn't planned for this version of himself. Inside, the place looked like a lifestyle spread. A throw blanket with pompons, 2 glasses waiting upside down for wine we didn't want. A bed that tried to look like it was the gentlest thing that had ever held a body. "Is it messed up that I'm glad you're here?" Nina asked, setting her bag down. "I hate it. I'm glad anyway." "It's not messed up," I said. "I'd be folding myself into a chair right now, pretending I wasn't imagining everything if you hadn't texted." The wall between 3 and 4 didn't look thick or thin. It looked deliberate. A piano version of some pop song drifted through like the soundtrack to Restraint. There was laughter in it. There was Lee in it. I'd know her laugh anywhere. It always started with a surprise at her own joy, like she didn't expect it even when she'd chased it. Nina leaned her shoulder into the wall as if she could read a heartbeat through plaster. "You think we're sure," she whispered. "I think we came because we already were," I said, and saying it out loud made me both colder and steadier. The body is a strange building. Sometimes you have to walk through it with a flashlight. We didn't knock. We sat. Nina drew her legs beneath her on the edge of the bed, and I took the chair by the window because I'm a man who has spent years learning how to take up only as much room as he's earned. She watched me with a frankness that made the air simpler. "What do you do?" she asked. "Stairs," I said. "They make sense. People step on them. They don't think about it. That's how I know I did it right." She smiled, something easing in her face. "I design gardens for small places that want to feel big, courtyards in alleys, balconies that think they're meadows." She glanced at the wall. "Apparently I should have specialized in hedges." We laughed, and the laugh wasn't cruel. It was human. It was the kind of laugh that warms your hands just enough to keep going. From next door, a muffled thump. Footsteps. A voice pitched low. I couldn't catch a word, but my body did, in that animal way that isn't noble at all. Heat ran up my neck like a blush that had made other plans. Nina saw it and didn't look away. "We don't have to go anywhere near that," she said. "We could leave now and write the email I keep avoiding." "I don't know what I want yet," I admitted, which felt as naked as anything else that could have happened in that room. "Except, I don't want to stand outside myself watching a worse version of me make choices I can't forgive later." "Truth over proof," she said, surprising a smile out of me. "I like rules that fit in a pocket." We opened the French doors. Cool night brushed the room clean. The vineyard rolled out in silver rows under a sky too wide to keep secrets. We stepped onto the little stone patio and let the smell of damp earth and rosemary reset our lungs. Somewhere far off, a dog barked at nothing and got it to leave. Nina stood beside me, close enough that my elbow recognized the line of her hip. She took a breath and the sweater lifted, and I noticed the soft dip of her collarbone in a way that felt like discovering the right place to put your hand on a railing. I didn't look away. She didn't either. "Do you want a glass of water or wine?" she asked. "Water," I said, then added, "and for you to sit where you can lean on me if you need to." She came back with 2 tumblers and chose the seat on the small couch beside mine, knees turning toward me like a trust exercise. When she passed me the glass, our fingers grazed, and the contact was ridiculous in how much it mattered. It wasn't fireworks. It was that first tiny click when a joint goes back where it belongs. We talked, not about them, about work and how the body remembers when it's been useful. About the time she designed a tiny herb spiral for an old man who sang to it, and how his basil bulged like it wanted to be a pillow. About the night Lee and I moved into our apartment and the power went out and we ate cherries by flashlight and called it candlelight because we were romantic and 23 and didn't know the difference. The wall sent a faint music through like a nervous system. We pressed no ears to it. At some point Nina shifted and her thigh settled against mine, a soft, deliberate weight, and she left it there like a question asked in a language we both understood. "Can I be honest?" she said, voice low but not whispering. "I want to kiss you. 100 bad movies have taught me to make a speech there. I didn't. I set my glass on the table. I want that too," I said. "Not because of them, because looking at you calms my hands." She moved first, which made it easier to forgive both of us. Her palm on my jaw was warm and certain. The kiss wasn't frantic. It was curious. It asked more than it answered. It let our breath learn each other. My hand found the small of her back, the fabric of her sweater soft under my fingers, the curve of her waist fitting my palm like a tool that has finally found the right grip. We didn't hurry. We didn't undress. We didn't test how thin the wall could get and still be a wall. Her mouth was sweet and slow, the kind of kiss you could build a staircase around, steady, measured, carrying weight. When we parted, it was with our foreheads resting together, smiling like we discovered a gentle trick in a world that prefers grand ones. "Okay," she said, a little breathless, a little shy. "Okay." We lay back on the couch, my arm a place for her to tuck into. She traced the seam on my sleeve with a fingertip, slow, absent, like she was drawing a map back to herself. From next door came the faint sound of water, the shower maybe, or a sink, domestic as guilt. "Whatever we do in the morning," she murmured, "let's not perform. No speeches, no endings written for an audience." "Agreed," I said, "and let's forget the wall for a minute." We did. We talked until the sky shifted from black to something you could argue was blue. At some point, we drowsed and woke, her hair a dark, soft weight on my shoulder, my hand making slow, soothing lines on her back that weren't about seduction so much as remembering we were more than the thing that had brought us there. When we kissed again, it was because the air asked politely and we had no reason to say no. Around 6, we wrote a note together on the back of the vineyard map. "We know. We're leaving. Please be decent." We taped it to the outside of Bungalow 4 with a strip of painter's tape I keep in my truck for emergencies you can't predict. We didn't knock. We didn't wait to see who opened the door. The morning smelled like coriander and wet stone, and I swear I could feel the earth under the vines shrugging off a story it didn't ask to be part of. We drove into town and found a diner with a black and white tile floor and a waitress who called us honey like it was a profession. We sat on the same side of the booth because space felt like something to be careful with. Nina stole a piece of my toast and grinned like she'd done something brave. She had. When my phone buzzed, I didn't look right away. I let my coffee be hot. I let the butter melt. Then I checked. "Lee, can we talk, please?" I typed slowly. "I'm at Stone Lantern. I think you know why. I'll meet you later today to get what I need. We can talk about what comes next with someone better at hard conversations than we are." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, came back. "Okay," she wrote, "I'm sorry. It looked small and too neat on the screen. Some apologies due." Nina's phone chimed almost immediately. "Evan," I guessed. She glanced and put it face down, mouthed a composed line. "We'll do the brave thing when we're ready," she said. "Not before." "What's the brave thing?" I asked. "Not letting what they did decide how much tenderness we think we deserve." I reached for her hand on the vinyl and laced our fingers. The contact was simple and full. A man at the counter spun his stool and smiled at us without curiosity, as if 2 people holding hands over eggs was the oldest, sweetest news. We didn't make promises we couldn't keep. We traded numbers like adults, with the understanding that numbers can be used for too many things to name. We hugged in the parking lot, and the hug was relief and invitation at once. She kissed my cheek, near the corner of my mouth, and the kiss was a seal, neither a beginning nor an end, a mark that said, Here was something true, keep it safe. Driving home, the highway looked like a recipe with fewer steps. My hands rested light on the wheel. The shop would smell like cedar again, the compressor would breathe, stairs would make sense. The hard part would arrive when it did. Papers, therapy, quiet that wasn't punishment. I didn't pretend otherwise. That night, Nina sent a picture of her courtyard. Morning glory wrapping a trellis I recognized from a hardware store that sells candy at the counter. The caption said, "Look what opened anyway." I sent back a photo of oak treads lined up on sawhorses, grain catching late light. I wrote, "I'll install these tomorrow. People will climb them without thinking." She replied with a thumbs up and then, a minute later, "I'm glad we didn't make a scene. I'm glad we made a choice." "Me too," I wrote. And for the first time in a long time, the word "we" didn't feel like a complication. It felt like a place to stand.